We believe in a transformative power of dreams. I'm Monica. I'm a dreamer and dream curator here at DreamBank. If you visited us in person or virtually before, welcome back and thank you for visiting again. And for those of you that have never joined us before, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to DreamBank. DreamBank is an inspirational community destination and digital experience created by American Family Insurance and dedicated to the pursuit of dreams. Because we believe communities are stronger and the future is brighter when people are actively pursuing their dreams. From our daily event series to our immersive signature programs, there's something for every dreamer. Everything that we do is dedicated to help you celebrate the dream journey, overcome obstacles, and stay motivated. This is the Impact for Good series, and today we're visited by Black Space. Black Space is a Milwaukee based organization focused on normalizing therapy and mental health wellness for Black and Brown people. And their sessions are facilitated by Black and Brown therapists. Black Space exists because Corey, Dr. Lia Knox, and Darius are passionate about making this type of support affordable. Let's hear the why behind this cause from them. Please give a warm Dream Bank welcome to Black Space thought leaders, Corey, Leah, and Darius.
Hi everyone, my name is Corey Fells.
I'm Dr. Lia Knox.
Sorry, and I'm Darius Smith.
And we are all that makes up Black Space. We're all the three founding co-founders, and we all have our special stories that relate to why Black Space is Black Space is a amalgamation of just our personal passions when it comes to mental wellness, and why we feel like Milwaukee is the establishment for us to be able to kind of go from here. So, well, I'd like to start off with my story first. Once again, my name is Corey Fells, but to others, my whole name may be or is Dontrell Corey Fells. And I separated in three different fashions because I grew up without a mom, or my mom passed away when I was in high school. So from there's three separate chapters in my life that essentially led me to this moment and for Black Space to pretty much be birthed. When my mom passed away, my mom was the only woman that pretty much called me Corey, and that was a very young Corey, a very young boy that was kind of lost, that was also um, given no home to be able to live in, physically and also emotionally. However, when my mom passed away, there was no grieving process for me. There was just life, real world happened immediately. And then that's where Corey started to kind of understand a little bit more about himself. Corey, myself, really understood who I was and how I stood in this world. Um, I throughout elementary, middle school, and high school, I was an individual that pretty much stayed to myself. I was very grounded, and I was very, very much so uh, to myself a lot as a kid. And I started to really understand and realize the world was a fast-paced, very scary thing that I don't think that I was quite set up for. So when my mom passed away, Corey really started to understand, growing up through the school systems of just who I was. There's one pivotal moment that really stood out to me when I was a young adolescent was when I was in middle school. Middle school, there was three types of students. There were the honor roll students, there were the regular students, and then there were the students that needed a little bit more attention that were labeled as the trouble students. Um, Unfortunately, I was labeled a trouble student, and those trouble students wore a blue tie. The honor roll students wore a gold and red tie, and the regular students wore a red tie, just a plain red tie. And this blue tie, a lot of students, you weren't able to eat lunch with any other classmates. You had to eat your lunch with the teachers. You did not sit in regular formation with other students. Your desk was off to the side by itself. And oftentimes or not, when there was a birthday party and everyone was supplied with cupcakes, that blue tie student wasn't provided a cupcake and was not able to participate in the festivities. Um, and myself, I lasted in that blue tie for about a year. So after that, that really kind of isolated myself, or this that system kind of isolated myself. And when it came to going to high school, it even isolated me more. I went to a PWI, or a predominantly white high school in Whitefish Bay, and I kind of felt like I was not part of the in crowd, but I was very much so okay with that. The genesis of Corey kind of ended right when my mom passed away, and I needed to be able to kick into survival skills and to really understand how to be able to stand on my own. Then that transitions over to Fells. So immediately after high school, went into the United States Army, and immediately was thrown to this proverbial 30-foot pool of water that was told to me that this is how survival tactics are performed. Um, and there was one very pivotal moment to me that happened while I was surviving in this phase of my life in the military, uh, that really stood out to me. Mind you, after my mom passed, there was no real grieving process. Immediately, Corey died, so that Fells was able to prevail, and I really had to understand how to survive. At the end of boot camp, I was in the military for 8 years, but this one moment stood out to me the most. Was that at boot camp, there was an individual that was 35 years of age and transferred from the Navy over to the Army, but still had to perform through boot camp. And his name was Lee. Lee came up to me and told me that, hey, Corey, he's a very spiritual man from Tupelo, Mississippi, and he wanted to talk to me and tell me that there's this sense of a chip that I carry around myself very often, that he feels like he has a story that can be able to help me lift that chip off. And what he said was that his story pretty much was a person coming to him, telling him that I should be able to let them go. There's a person that passed away in my life, and I need to be able to let them go in order for me to kind of continue forward. Did not know what Lee was talking about. Didn't feel like Lee knew what he was talking about. And it didn't really hit me until the end of that day, where we had a 12-mile ruck march with more than 100 pounds worth of gear, and we were told to wash our clothes and lay down for rest. After each physical task in the military that was graded, I had my mom's obituary, and that was the only thing I had. And when I would complete those tasks, I would kiss the obituary and put it in my pocket for the next task for me to be able to kind of continue to push forward. What I did not notice that day was that I put it in my pocket and then I threw my clothes into my washer. There was a community washer, so that oftentimes or not, if your clothes are sitting in a wash machine and someone needs it, they'll move it to a dryer and then kind of continue on the cycle. The dryers, so when I woke up from my sleep and realized that my mother's obituary was left unkissed by me after this task, I quickly rushed to it. I went to the dryer that my clothes, or there was a tag with my name on it, and quickly realized that that obituary that I had, the only thing that I had of my mom, was wet and wrinkled inward. So I was not able to actually even give it a kiss or unfold it with the fear of it brittling away. And at that particular moment, as soon as I got out of the Army 8 years later, that phase in my life of Corey having to survive, or Fells having to survive, essentially died, and now transitioned over into present time. I just got out the military last year, March 2020, and it really showed me what I needed and who I needed. So essentially, I was over at a nonprofit, and the nonprofit that I worked at was very much so ingratiated in the community, very much so hands-on, and you had to be physically around people. But well, as many other people experienced as well as myself, we all had to go to virtual. And with that, that means that a lot more responsibility, a lot more tasks were given to you. So after that, um, supervisor of mine told me, hey, Corey, you look exhausted, you look stressed out. And that's something to be told that via Zoom in the middle of a pandemic. And he said, hey, I have somebody that you need to be able to talk to. And I think that this would be a great person for you to be able to talk to. And my past experiences with therapists when I was younger, dating until that time, I didn't have the best experience. So I was very apprehensive, but the person I listened to and my supervisor then, but now a great friend of mine now, he was a person that I gave all my utmost respect to and trusted immensely. And so I was able to have this sit down discussion with this person, and this person ends up being Dr. Knox. And it felt like there was this void that was filled immediately. I was able to talk to someone that can be able to make sense of myself and this lost little boy that I abandoned back when my mom passed away. There's this person that kind of filled up that void of a mom, but really, really ingratiated herself into the things that I needed to unpack to be a better me. I am 29 years of age, and I will be 30 next year. And my goal and the thing that I want to provide to myself is a whole Corey. So I want to bring Corey, Fells, and Dontrell all together to be a more whole person for my future partner, to be a whole person for my future child, and also ultimately be a whole person for myself. Former Dr. Knox is my former therapist, and I moved on to another therapist, but her impact in my life only made me feel better about hopefully being a better person for myself, but for my community, and also sharing what she has taught me with many of others. And I would like to be able to pass off the mic over to Darius for him to show and tell his story too.
So, hi everybody. Thanks for sharing, Corey. For one, I know it's a little hard just to share, but for what Black Space holds for me, it's a tad bit different from Corey, but around the same thing. So, I'd like to start at a point of my life where things just started basically to change, or me acknowledging things was happening in my life. So about 4 to 5 years ago, it was a very, very hard point in my life. I was with my daughter's mom for about 9 years, and we just happened to split. Things didn't work out exactly how we planned. You know how life works out. It went to a point where I went from seeing my daughter every day to only seeing her every once in a while. And I went through a very, very rough patch in my life where I was suffering from depression. Around that time, I didn't even know what depression was. I thought depression was just something people spoke about and not an actual feeling that we all have. So for me, especially growing up within the Black community, it wasn't more so about deal with your problems. It was more so about go to church or just man up. So for me, I didn't understand what I was personally going through. So it took, honestly, a conversation that I just happened to have with my daughter, who was 4 to 5 at the time, and I was crying in front of her, and she told me, "Daddy, it's okay." So for that one moment, I fully understood that personally what I'm going through is not just something that I'm personally going through. Everybody else around me could see it. And I didn't even fully understand it because mentally I was not there. It was a time where my parents would come to my house just to check up on me to see if I was eating, because I lost about 60 pounds, 60 to 50 pounds. I wasn't eating at all. I was working 2 jobs. I was working a first shift and a third shift. I would work 7 at night to 7 in the morning, then go to my third shift from 8 o'clock and get off at 1, take a nap, go pick up my daughter from school at 3, try to get in the nap, take her back to her mom's, and go back to work. And that was my life for about 2 years. And I was ignoring all of the things that was making me feel a particular way just because I didn't know. So once another big transition in my life, I lost both of my jobs on my birthday of August 25th, and then I had to figure out what's next. And not just the fact that I lost both of my jobs, so I lost them on August 25th. I moved into a new place September 1st. So it was a big explosion of feelings, emotions, of me being a provider, me making a good amount of money for a living and providing for my own child. I had to deal with these things head on. So once I did find a new job, I understood the things that I personally needed in my life to make me feel better. I started to go to a coffee shop and just sitting and just being, not just being as I want to just sit. I want to sit and work and not worry about the things that's happening around me, or didn't want to worry about the things that's going on in my mind mentally. And I started reading books. I started doing a ton of different things that can get me out of my own personal box, that kept me boxed in, that I didn't fully understand what I was personally doing to myself, because me as a Black man, I thought these are the things I'm supposed to do. So as the time goes on, in the city of Milwaukee, I led a lot of the largest protests in the city of Milwaukee when the incident happened with George Floyd. So I led one of my biggest protests, was about 5,000 to 6,000 people. I led it down the street of Milwaukee, one of the busiest streets. And what happened was I got on top of a car and I was talking to the crowd and I cried. And it was my first time crying around people that I didn't know. And it was my first time, honestly, that I can say to myself that I was 100% vulnerable. And it was a moment where it felt good. It felt good as far as a release. It felt good of an understanding. And it felt good for the first time that I felt as a man, my feet was on the ground. I wasn't worrying about who was staring at me. I wasn't worrying about what this person thought of me. I wasn't worrying about any of that. All I was caring about is that I'm present in the moment. So it was a release. It was if we watch movies where the person sees the light that can change the pivot of their life, that was my moment. That was my moment where the doors of leading to the future and leaving everything in the past, that door opened for me, and I physically opened it for myself. So as time went on, I started, doing more protests. And what happened was I started feeling the exact same way that I was feeling a couple of years ago when I was going through a depression. And I was ignoring those feelings as I'm going through a protest, because I felt like, hey, I got to be out here for everybody. I got to do this. I have to be this person for everybody. And being that person all started when I was a little kid. I always wanted to be a big brother to other people, even though I'm a little brother. So at that moment, I understood that I don't like the way that I'm feeling. I know where I'm headed with this. So that's when I actually did. I reached out to Corey and I talked to him about therapy. I talked to him about a lot of different things. And I talked to him about, like, hey, I really want to have a therapy session, group therapy, for free for the people that's out here, just for we can help other people that may be feeling the exact same way that I'm feeling, or just the exact same way that I felt a couple years ago. Because I can imagine if I feel like this, I know a lot of other people that's been out there every single day that feel the exact same way. So that's when we start holding Black Space and being able to talk about mental health and mental wellness and other things that can help out the community, of things that we ignore. And I really wanted to stop those generational curses that we have within our community of not knowing what the problem is and ignoring what the problem is as well. So that's basically the premise of Black Space. Is just what we tried to do is be the steps to change, be the steps of change, be the steps of things happening, preventing things from happening, and have a full understanding of things happening. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but Dr. Knox, you can go ahead. It's Dr. Knox.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Lia Knox. I am a native of the north side of Milwaukee. So those of you who do live here, grew up in Lapham Park, Lisbon Square, Hillside, 22nd and Center, 26th and Center, 26 in Galena. One of 5205, 5206. We are deemed as some of the most impoverished and underrepresented areas in Milwaukee. However, where I grew up, my communities that I love so much, and the three of us grew up in these areas, even though we didn't have much, we found beauty. We found beauty in these areas because there was love there. There was community there. Within our families, within our home bases, within our kinships, there was beauty. I have been in the mental health field as a therapist, social worker, wraparound caseworker, supervisor for the last 25 years. That means I'm a child prodigy because I'm only 27, says I. With that being said, I absolutely love what I do. My passion is working with impoverished and underserved, under-resourced communities, especially with Black and Brown communities, because we deserve it. We are worth someone caring about us. We are worth someone taking that time, nurturing, and patience with us, and making sure that not only our physical bodies are okay, but our spirit, minds, and hearts are doing well. Black Space came into being because of all the things that have been spoken about today with Corey and with Darius. Black Space is a wonderful place because we're very unique. The three things that make us unique are: number one, we cater to and provide safe spaces for Black and Brown communities. Not only safe spaces, but beautiful spaces, free of charge. So we make sure that we provide free, beautiful, and safe spaces for Black and Brown communities to share our stories, our narratives, because we are natural griots. Our stories provide healing. Our stories provide growth. Our stories provide the spaces that let us know we are not alone in what we go through. And it's not about sharing war stories. It's about making sure that we know that, listen, we're going through the same thing together and we're here for each other. Part of mental wellness, and I say wellness because wellness means that we want to be good, we want to feel good, we want to be well. Well is a positive term. Whenever many of us hear mental health, mental illness, as soon as we hear someone say, I'm ill, I'm not feeling good, look at my face. However, when we say, you know what, I want to feel well, there's a smile. Even my mouth has to say well in this manner. But with mental wellness and the fact that wellness comes with beauty. For centuries, Black and Brown people have not been exposed to the beauty within this world. Many places that I've worked through in my lifetime, such as Alabama, Phoenix City, Columbus, Georgia, Afghanistan, Haiti, Mississippi. I went to Jackson State there, Chicago, Illinois, West Side, South Side, K-Town, Bronzeville, so on and so forth. I've given and provided mental health services with teams of people because, once again, I work within communities. I rarely have an office, so I'm out in these streets. But within those streets, there hasn't been a lot of beauty, not a lot of grass, not a lot of places where I can look on the horizon and see beautiful city lights or beautiful grassy knolls. But with Black Space, what we definitely believe in is providing beautiful spaces that create wellness. So within our groups, we make sure that these spaces are beautiful. They're comfortable chairs to sit in that are fit for kings and queens. When you look out of the window, you can see the city of Milwaukee at No Studios or any other places that we find. When you come and you sign up for our groups free of charge, you will be able to have something to eat, have something to drink, and that's going to be on us, whether it's out of our own pockets or we are able to get donations or funds for that. That's going to be there because we want to make sure that you feel comfortable and safe. During the years, I've had to make sure that our team members were able to beg for places for our Black and Brown community. So we've had to give therapy sessions or groups or even support groups at the bottom of basements and gyms after service was over or after the fellowship hall was closed. So there was chicken frying and coffee drinking, but we'd sit among the crumbs. Or perhaps in a community center after the basketball game was over, and we sit right next to the locker room where it smells like sweaty shoes and funky shorts. Or perhaps we were given the grace to be in a park after it was cleaned on that particular day, but not the best circumstances, mosquitoes and dirt and things like that, but not with Black Space. The reason why we found that it was so important to have beautiful spaces comes from when I was such a young girl, and it was part of who I belonged to, whom I belonged to. My grandmother and my mother believed that beauty was so important. I remember being sick some days, and my mother had to work. And even though we lived in Hillside and Lapham Park, she was one of the mamas that would get up early in the morning, 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and she'd get dressed up in a little business suit and her high heel shoes, make sure me and my brother were awake and ready to go to school. But we'd always be clean and nicely dressed, and she'd click, clack onto the bus stop because it was time for her to go to work. And she was always so beautiful and she smelled so good. But some days we might be sick, so she'd take us on the bus to grandma's house. And as soon as we get to grandma's house, it would be the most wonderful thing because my grandma lived in Hillside. Anybody knows what Hillside is? It was across the street from the chocolate factory and the Wonder Bread factory. So as soon as we walked in, we would smell hues of chocolate and yeast. And she'd come to the door in a caftan. And the caftan was a beautiful long robe, and it would flow behind her. My grandma had this long black hair and this soft, smooth skin, and she always smelled like heaven sent. And she'd bend down and give us the biggest hug because she was so happy to see us. And we were so happy to see her. Even though we were sick, she still gave us hugs. She'd walk us in, and she'd flow away, and we'd flow behind her. Her house had French furniture, gold paisley, and she had a French phone too, and she'd answered hello, and she'd talk to her friends as she'd be there. And by high noon, it was time for tea and Days of Our Lives, her favorite soap opera. She was always cooking something. Her curtains were so beautiful, and she always had the windows open because she loved fresh air. So it would be flowing. And she looked beautiful, and her home was beautiful and warm, and it smelled so good. And it just reminded me of such a warm, beautiful, and nurturing feeling. I remember those days, and sometimes I would fake being sick so that I could go over there just to get well. And that's what we want Black Space to be about. It's such a beautiful, warm, nurturing place where you go to get well, to share your stories, to get those hugs from a place that feels like grandma's house. Beautiful because you're worth it and you deserve it. So with that, Black Space is about beauty. It's about safe spaces. It's about narratives in your story and how you want to get well, how you want to improve yourself and grow and spread your wings and become a different person than what you want to be, but it's all on your terms. It's about changing and growing from Corey to Dontrell to Fails and combining those three. It's about depression and making sure that that's not something that you want to be a part of anymore. You want to effectively manage that. And so there are so many techniques that we can use to make sure that happens. Part of managing how Black and brown people think about the stigma of mental health is to first change our terms. Mental wellness. It is fine for you to be mentally well and for us to talk about this. Black Space is a strong believer in talking about mental wellness out loud. Darius and Corey, you can speak about this. How did it feel when you first started to talk about this out loud? Your mental wellness.
I think for me, it was the first time that I felt like I was actually speaking my own piece, and I think that's so important, especially for Black men. I think sometimes we hold it in because we feel like people don't care, or we don't want to come off as weak. Trying to live up to those standards of masculinity, and trying to be the person that everyone expects us to be instead of being the person that we should be for ourselves. So I think just having a moment to talk about how you feel is the best time that you can make for yourself, even if it's something going on within your life, if it's a way that your partner is treating you, if it's dealing with microaggressions of working in blue collar and white collar jobs. Being able to have those moments for yourself so you can fully express yourself, that's everything. I feel like it's everything. How about you, Corey?
I know, just to piggyback off of you, Darius, no, I think that industries and companies start to really understand the importance of representation and also culture. There are individuals that I know that are telling me that there's a D&I program they're just starting at a Fortune 500 company. Google and Apple and so many other places are definitely establishing those type of things. And even to be more of like a at-home person like myself, I just had a talk with my sister the other day. We talk every major holiday, and she is telling me about so many stories and so many different types of impact that our mom had on her that she uses somewhat our discussion to be able to talk. And me and her talk for, we don't have regular talks, we have 6 and 7 hour talks. And she is telling me all these things that are happening to her. And I end our talk with, hey, Kiki, are you comfortable with possibly going to therapy? And she's like, Corey, I don't know about all that. I'm too afraid of like the emotional impact that's going to have on me. And I told her it's like working out. It's like working out a muscle that you're too afraid to actually like grow. You don't have any bicep muscles, but you're not going to wish that bicep muscles just appear. You're going to have to go through the grit and grind to make sure that, okay, well, I need to be able to do 56 curls at the end of this week. So I can divide them up into 8 curls a week or each day to get to 56. However, it may have you, but I told her there's going to be this cathartic moment that I had where it's just like this sense of relief. As me and Dr. Knox were talking, each session felt like it was getting heavier and heavier until it got to this one click of a switch moment where Dr. Knox told me, this is what I've gotten from you from these many discussions. This is not everything about you, Corey, but this is what I've gotten from you. And I remember from after that session, I was too afraid to cry in front of Dr. Knox. I cried afterwards, and I took a walk. And I walked downtown Milwaukee. I went to my favorite like ice cream shop, Yo Factory, and sat by the lake and just kind of like took that in. And one of my favorite movies in the world is Moonlight, and it literally felt like there was a nice breeze from the lake that just finally touched my skin. That felt like a moment where I was able to unleash myself from this proverbial shell to actually feel water and feel the air and just feel like myself.
Yeah.
So no, like I say that I want to commend Dr. Knox on that, and also even add to that, mental wellness is something that I think that I know for sure Black and brown people, they need to be able to feel that wind hit them,
Yeah, definitely.
and not too many of us are able to.
Yeah. Dr. Knox, can I say one more thing?
Yes, please.
I was just gonna piggyback. I guess me and Corey, it's a piggyback moment, but I'm just gonna piggyback off of what Corey said. Like exactly what Corey said, exactly how I felt. It felt like my feet was finally touching the ground. I felt like, I was one with myself, and I think the biggest thing is, I talked to you about it. I got to talk about plants, Dr. Knox. So for me, it was a moment that I was giving myself. Just to have these conversations was preparing me to have these tougher conversations that I know I want to have. I was just telling Dr. Knox and Corey a week ago, I plan on having a conversation with my biological father, somebody that I haven't talked to in about 15 to 16 years. I don't want to talk to him as his son, but I want to talk to him as a man. And I think having these difficult conversations was preparing me for this conversation, not just spiritually, but emotionally as well, and being in tune with my emotions. Because I think the biggest thing for me, especially as a Black man, I wanted to understand other emotions besides anger, and be equipped to deal with those other emotions besides just anger. All these different things that I'm personally dealing with and other people should be dealing with is it makes you better as an individual. It makes you better as a father. It makes you better as a lover. It makes you better as a partner. And I think majority of the times that I've had felt anger was from some undealt with trauma that I personally have been ignoring my entire life that my partner may have brung up to me, but mentally I wasn't prepared to have that conversation, not just with myself, but with her as well. So I think it's no bad things of talking about your trauma. It's no bad things that can happen. It's just you, whenever you feel like you're ready, to have these conversations.
Well, there's a comment, and thank you so much both for sharing and being so transparent. There's a comment that came up by Rasan Flippin that was like, you know what, I'm tired of people saying, man up, church, and it's not about manning up or even womaning up. It's about it's okay to be transparent. Once you open up your mouth to say, you know what, I'm going through this, or having those courageous moments where you actually talk and say, this is what's going on with me. And it can be just a little sliver of that. Trusting someone, talking to a friend, a family member, a co-worker, even a therapist, a human being that you may think may never understand. That person may say, you know what, man, I'm going through the same thing. A girl, I know what you mean. That is starting to break the stigma. It's starting to have those courageous conversations, or just that 1 second of 3 words. I need a break. I need help. Just those small things will be able to help. Also, some things that will help and assist with stigma among Black and Brown people is just getting together communally. I know that COVID is real and it's out there right now, but utilizing our social media to just give positive quotes, to make sure you're reaching out, doing video chats with friend and family and just checking on them and not getting offended if you don't hear from them, but just pop up on them if you can, making sure that you're able to give tidbits and pieces of things that you use to manage your stress effectively. Darius is one that loves plants and he will give a piece of his away to help one grow. Matter of fact, I have 9 plants now that I'm trying to figure out how to put in one. Those things are wonderful. Corey is one, he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to start to work out and do my thing, but he's also living a different lifestyle now, starting to go on little day trips, planning things. When you look ahead and plan ahead, it gets you excited about your life. What am I going to do when I'm 30? How is this going to look for me now? Telling your stories. Because once again, we're griots, and griots tell stories. It's like a song, it's like music. Once you start to do that, it creates memories, it creates dialogues, and it does help. There's so many different things that we can do, but doing them together helps a lot. Isolation doesn't always help. Taking moments alone to figure some things out are fine, but making sure that you're together in this. I know we don't have much time left, but just wanting to know if there are any more comments or if you all wanted to share before we turn it back over to our hosts.
Well, I can. Oh, go ahead.
Well, did you guys have anything more to add to that? Because I have quite a bit to add to all of this. This was really good. This was good for me. So I first want to thank all of you for what you do and what you're doing with Black Space and what you are offering to the community. And from my own personal self, from my own personal story, I know that for me, before understanding mental wellness and before understanding what that meant, I don't know that I felt entirely human. And I say that because I a lot of times felt like I was in my situation and this is my situation and ain't nobody else going through this. And the truth of the matter is there were so many other people going through so much of what I was going through or going through similar things that I was going through. So thank you all for sharing your personal stories that touched me in some ways, and I'm glad I was on the behind screen during that period of time, and just taking this all in. This is heavy. This is heavy, and it's definitely something that our community do need to open up to, and it's something that we do need to share more of. You guys talked about change, making changes in your lives and how that affects your life. And sometimes change is good, But sometimes change can be so stressful, and that stress turns into anxiety, and it leans on your depression, and you sometimes feel like it's all coming out of nowhere. So just knowing that there is a service like this available to everybody out there, especially our Black and Brown people, and making sure we have that safe space is very important. Dr. Knox, you talked about having the pretty space. Oh, I can't wait to come. I love being in a pretty space, especially when they're like big comfy chairs meant for a queen like myself. Yes. So I'm looking forward to that. But one thing that Darius hit on a little bit was toxic masculinity, and how that, it's toxic because it's bad for your mental wellness when you're so masculine that you're not allowing yourself to be human, and you're not allowing yourself to share and show real emotions. So from all of you, thank you so much for bringing this to us, and thank you so much for sharing this. One thing I like to ask all of you is, what one piece of advice would you share with someone whom is pursuing a dream today? Dr. Knox?
That's pursuing a dream today. What I would say is go for it thoughtfully and methodically. A lot of people who are pursuing dreams sometimes they say, you know what, YOLO! And they will go and drop jobs and family, and they will just up and go, which I think is very admirable, until they get there and they're standing in the middle of the road and they're like, YOLO. I would say have a plan, even if it is a light plan. Make sure that you are mentally supported and emotionally supported by at least one person who also supports your dream, even if it's someone who you don't even know well. Be excited about it. Have your little notebook that says, this is mine, I'm going, so that you have something to follow, and then go for it with a soft plan, and make sure that you have someone that you can talk to that's reliable, that holds you accountable for this dream that you have, so that you too can make sure that you're keeping on track of this dream. So that's my advice for going for your dreams.
Awesome. Darius, how would you answer that question?
I think for me, Dr. Knight's gonna kill me because it's gonna revolve around plants again. Clearly, I like plants. I think for me is one is just believe in yourself. Be foolish enough to believe in yourself. I would definitely say that, and just understand that everything takes time. Fully understand that everything takes time, and treat yourself like how you would treat your plant. That is a big thing of me. If anybody in this room understand plants, understand to water, understand things being root bound, understanding how life works, and understanding that sometimes you may have to move your plant from a space that's not getting enough sun. Treat yourself exactly like that. If you feel like your plant is not being watered enough, maybe you should water it. Treat yourself exactly like that. If you feel like you have one plant that's by another plant that's getting it sick, best thing you need to do is move that plant. Treat yourself exactly how you would treat your plant, and understand that growth takes time, and understand that, hey, it may take a full summer for this plant to be fully watered correctly, to grow an inch, but the fact is that it's still growing, and understand that that's a way that you need to look at yourself, that it takes time. I feel like in the world that we live in, when everything comes quick, fast, and in a hurry, we lose the ability to understand that things take time, and everything does not happen overnight. It takes work. Literally, it takes work for things to be exactly how you want it to be. and just understand that the growth is happening even if you don't see it. That the growth that you're making is there, and be content enough to understand that, I'm doing exactly what I need to do. I may not be able to see it this week, but further down the line, it may build a big enough branch that my children would be able to hang from and put a swing up, or build that stability that they can have fun on, or build that stability that I can get the person that I really want, or pursue this job that I really want. As long as you're making the work, as long as you're watering your plant, as long as your plant got good soil, as long as all of these different things, just believe in yourself and understand that it takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes work, and you got to pay attention to these small little details. So
that's
treat
it.
yourself. Treat yourself how you would treat your plant.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, and it looks like several other people really appreciate that metaphor. I've never done really well with plants, but I'm starting to. I'm learning more and more about it as I learn more and more about myself. So I really appreciate that metaphor. Thank you. Corey, what advice would you offer someone who's pursuing a dream today?
I would like to piggyback off of Dr. Knox. I will say this: no one's supposed to believe in your dream, only you. There's not going to be this outpour of thousands of people when you make a Facebook status and say, hey guys, I want to start my very first ever bookstore. Okay, you're not going to get any likes. If you are, you're going to get hundreds of likes because that theory is nice, but we haven't seen it yet. But until you start to get to the grit and grind and you really create that storefront for your bookstore, no one's meant to volunteer their time to help you clean out that store to make it into a bookstore. They're not meant to pretty much give yourself or donate books or find books for you. That's a lot of times as you get older, we tell our jobs, you guys pay me from 9 until 5. I'm not working at 5:30 or 6:30. Because the person that you are working for, you're pretty much working for their dream. You're working to help them out with their dream. And the piggyback of Dr. Knox is don't have a plan, but don't overly plan either. It's a nice sweet spot of having a gentle plan that is able to transform whenever there's life that happens. So when you start to think about, hey, I need to transition out of my full-time job, well, I need to have $15,000 to be able to start my business. So I need to be at this job for about a year. Something may happen. You may get into a particular issue where a family member may need $5,000. So now you got to push that back and continue on. But just stay in track and stay in focus. Don't overly plan. Overly planning is a sense of trauma, and you want to have full control of everything, but you never really get to it. Darius and Dr. Knox can tell you I'm a planner, but also allow room for error to grow. If there's ever an issue where it's like someone's not able to make something, have no plans. I have no problem moving and trying to, adjust the things as they come. So those would just be my small little tidbits.
I appreciate that. Flexibility is very important, especially when you're pursuing dreams, and also when you're in this space of earning and understanding your mental wellness. So again, thank you all for your time and sharing this.
Sorry. Well, we want to thank American Family Insurance DreamBank for providing us the space, and also for Asim for being the connector. He was able to find Darius at a nice brunch space, and Asim reached out to him and then reached out to all of us and made sure that this opportunity was able to be provided for us. So thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. This has been a great platform, and we hope that we reach many, and AmFam always reaches so many. So thank you for all that you do as well.
Thank you all for being here. And yes, big shout out to Asim. He's from our Elm Grove storefront, and he's been making a lot of these Milwaukee connections and just helping me grow DreamBank in the Milwaukee area and kind of pulling some of the resources and community organizations that are in Milwaukee, pulling them to my attention and making those connections with me. And so his efforts and our quirky conversations are very much appreciated and very welcome. I look forward to working with him more in the future. Just so you guys know, and everyone who's tuning in know, next month in January, at the end of January, on the 27th, we're going to be hosting and screening Milwaukee 53206, where we will have the producers, Keith McQuitter, on a panel, having a panel discussion with us right after the screening of Milwaukee 53206. Again, it's the area where you guys are from. I grew up there for a short period of time in my preteen years, and yeah, it's a great opportunity. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Nice. Thanks for letting us know. That's exciting. I remember them coming to Coffee Makes You Black and all the wonderful things they did there. And absolutely cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So tune in if you're available. And yeah, we're gonna be closing here soon. So I just want to say that here at DreamBank, we really do believe in the power of dreams, and we celebrate that our community is made up of fearless dreamers from all over the place. We even have people tuning in from other countries on a fairly regular basis, and so we really appreciate that. Thank you everyone out there for joining us today. And if you're not watching live right now and you'll be watching later, thank you for taking your time to get to know DreamBank and understand what Black Space is doing and what they have going on and what they have to offer for our community. And when you're free and available to connect with them, please do so, because we are interested in just really building this community. As Dr. Knox said before, it's not always about yourself, and it's not always about isolating yourself when you have issues, but building and being part of that amazing community of people that are very like-minded. We look forward to continuing to learn, grow, and dream together. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn to stay in the know about DreamBank's upcoming offerings, including our signature program experiences and what we have happening next month with Milwaukee 53206. On behalf of American Family Insurance and DreamBank, we look forward to hosting you again soon. Thank you all for watching. Keep dreaming fearlessly.
Thank you.
Thank you.